I'm Mike Campbell, also known as It's the Soup, and we're taking a look back at the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series visit to the Diamond in the Desert, the Phoenix International Speedway, and the Subway Fresh Fit 500. Generation 6 cars were put to the ultimate test as they went to their first intermediate style track. Sure, Phoenix International Speedway is not your typical cookie-cutter track, but it still provided the drivers a challenge as they competed. There was plenty of side-by-side racing, and overall, all the models of cars, including the Toyota, Chevrolet, and Ford, did really well in side-by-side competition. The main concern I actually had throughout the course of the race was the fact that the cars seemed very easily damaged. As we saw throughout several wrecks during the course of the race, when a car would get into an incident, it would get a heavy amount of damage, which would render some drivers out of the race. There were several instances throughout the race where this did come apparent, as one instance that was actually looked pretty serious, but actually turned out both drivers were fine, was a later race incident involving Danica and another driver. She would come off turn 4 and have some issues with a tire, if I'm not mistaken, and she would actually hit the wall and come back across the front of that driver's car, and a serious incident would ensue, completely damaging the left side of her car as she took a heavy hit. That was one of the big instances where I was concerned about the overall quality of these cars. As you'll see coming up in the video over my shoulder, the incident, as we see, her car sustained heavy damage in that crash. It looked serious, but the one thing I do like about the Gen 6 cars is, even though they are kind of, I don't want to say flimsy, but a little bit less sturdy than the past cars, we see that Danica is completely okay and she's actually fine. We see here in that last shot there, that was actually the side of her car, right there at the driver's side door, so that can cause you some serious issues if we had the older car, circa 2006, 2005, and so on. That kind of hit could have caused some injury, but as we see, she's strapped in here with her Hans device, and she's secure. And as you saw, we'll see probably later in the video, you'll also see a lot of the padding from the inside of the car when they put that foam inside next to the reinforcing bars. That kept her safe in that crash. Yeah, we'll see it right here. She's coming off the corner. She hits the wall from her apparent cut tire, takes a hard hit, and just basically spins down toward the inside wall here on the front stretch of Phoenix. She would walk away from that crash as we see her. She's getting out of the car, and she would be fine. This does hurt her momentum, though, because she came into this race after a strong top 10 run at Daytona. One of the many concerns I have about Danica coming into this season was the overall hype centered around her. I am not going to doubt her skill as a driver, but the big thing is, she needs to be able to handle the pressure of being a star in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, but also balance it with the ability and the talent she has under her belt. She has come from the IndyCar Series and she did perform well there. She needs to be able to focus more on driving the car and less on the stardom that comes with being in one of the top leagues in the world of auto racing. Even though it would be Carl Edwards in the number 99 Ford Fusion going to victory lane for the first time in over 70 races, it would be also Hendrick Motorsports showing that their cars and the team as a whole were very strong and competitive and had a chance to win. At one point, most of their drivers were running in the top 10, with at the end of the race, all of their drivers finishing inside the top 20. And 3 of those drivers finished inside the top 10. Jimmy Johnson and Dale Earnhardt Jr. both flexed their muscles as well, showing that their cars were tough and capable of getting the job done. As they went throughout the later stages of the race, it would be Carl Edwards getting to the front and winning the race, but Hendrick Motorsports has sent a message, and Phoenix is where they sent it, showing that they're ready to make a run for the chase again. It has been a couple years since Jimmy Johnson has won his last championship, and with drivers like Casey Kane and Dale Earnhardt Jr. all thirsting for a championship, I think Hendrick Motorsports showed at Phoenix that they're the ones to beat when it comes to being dominant in the sport of NASCAR this season. In a year that saw Carl Edwards miss the chase, 2012 was a year that he is certainly willing to forget. And at Phoenix, he showed that he completely forgot about how 2012 went by going to victory lane in the Subway Fresh Fit 500, driving, fittingly enough, the Subway car, the number 99 Ford Fusion. Edwards would get out front in an early lead on Brad Keselowski, the defending champion, and Keselowski just didn't have enough time to catch up to him. Edwards would get his first win in nearly 70 races, and after the race, he seemed content with getting that win, because it helps him toward his ultimate goal of winning a championship. After tying with Tony Stewart in 2011, the driver came oh so close to winning, but just came up short, thanks to Stewart's 5 wins during the chase. It was a true battle of consistency versus wins to see who would win, and it would be the wins that paid out. Going into this season, I think that this win that we're seeing over my shoulder at Phoenix actually will help the driver and help him stay focused toward the ultimate goal, which is making the chase after missing it last year and winning that championship. Carl Edwards has proven in the past that he is perfectly capable of winning championships, as he's done it in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, then the Busch Series. And he has also proven that he's a driver who can win and can be consistent, as we saw during the championship run he made in 2011. All Edwards needs to do is remain solid and focused in his abilities, and he will certainly go back to victory lane more this season, and he may just make a run at the championship against some of these hot contenders. It's hard to pick a championship favorite so early in the season. Some think Jeff Gordon, some think Dale Earnhardt Jr., who we're riding along with right now. Some think Jimmy Johnson, some think Brad. Heck, probably somebody out there thinks Brian Keselowski. It's hard to make that championship pick so early when we've had so many competitive races with a variety of winners. But I'm willing to go out and pick 3 drivers who I think will be true contenders for the championship. Number 1, that guy who was just on the screen right there, Dale Earnhardt Jr. There's something about his focus this year so far that has shown that he is ready and is capable of winning a championship. He has Hendrick power under the hood, and he has a new resolve and a new focus as he races. Much more calm, controlled, focused play as he continues to race around the track. We'll see how he does throughout the course of the season. Of course, we'll be reporting on it here on 4 Tires and Fuel with It's the Soup. But the thing is, I think right now, as points leader, as we record this at this moment, he has a chance of doing it. Another driver who's doing pretty well right now, Brad Keselowski, your defending champion, and in a new ride with the 2 Ford Fusion, he's probably a driver who actually has a chance to win a championship in a repeat way. He's been strong so far this season and has overcome adversity through several races. I think he's a strong contender for a defending championship, and he might be able to go get his second one. The last driver to repeat in a championship was Jimmy Johnson. He did that 5 times in a row. And my final driver, I guess I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb here. He ain't starting too well, but I want to go ahead and go with him anyway. Tony Stewart, driver number 14 Office Depot Chevrolet. I should know my driver sponsor by now, but bear with me. I'm not too impressed with his run right now, but I'm not worried as a Tony Stewart fan. So far, he has gotten off to a rocky start, but even in his times of adversity and his outbursts as of late, he actually has a chance to win a championship, in my opinion. He always turns it on towards the summer, which is also a very difficult part of the schedule, where you have a variety of tracks, from short tracks to road courses to super speedways. He always finds a way to turn it on just when he needs it, and that's the way he handled things during his championship run in 2011 and 2005. He turned it on when it was needed. And I think it's too early to say that he is not a contender for the championship, but I'm willing to go out and say that he is a willing contender for the championship, and also a person who can win this championship as we approach November in a Homestead Miami Speedway. It's This the Soup. I'm Mike Campbell, as you all know. Thanks for watching my video here on the new channel, 4 Tires and Fuel. If you have any questions, shoot me a comment or shoot me a message on Twitter at itsthesoup. And be sure, if you like it, just click that subscribe button and stay tuned. Every week we'll have a new video for you summarizing all the action in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. I'm Mike Campbell. Have a great day, and make sure, if you want to win a race, you take 4 tires and fuel.